Stormtroopers, I have a question for you. And that question is Solve the Equation playable? A lot of you have decided already that it's not without testing, and I don't think that's fair. Solve the Equation is not a bad Magic the Gathering card. It is not the same as Merchant Scroll, which is a lot of what the Storm community is saying. It's a very different Magic the Gathering card. Merchant Scroll doesn't get Past in Flames, it doesn't get Empty the Warrens, it doesn't get Grape Shot, it doesn't get Weather the Storm, Ignite Memory, so many different cards, and they're different. All right, they are not the same. It's not fair to compare the two. And I'm here to talk about that today. So, do I think Solve the Equation is a terrific Magic the Gathering card? No. I also just don't think it's bad. And no one's bothering to test it. And that's what I'm here to do today. I think that card hasn't been given a fair shake. And it's sort of not like... One of my issues is that there's very few people influencing Modern Storm. And those people have decided this card's not good enough without, really trying it. And I just think that somebody should. So that's what I'm doing here today. So it's pretty interesting. A lot of the Modern Storm decks try to beat Veil of Summer one of two ways. The first is Selene Vision, which I think is kind of stinky. So you get a glorified impulse that's supposed to find you Past in Flames or Grape Shot. Well, if you're in that mode, Solve the Equation is already better. Granted, Solve the Equation isn't a land. So I'm actually playing an 18th land today, which I typically don't do. So I'm running 18 lands. And the other card is Burgi, God of Storytelling, / Hornfell, Horn of Bounty. That's a card I am a fan of, but both are there to beat Veil of Summer. Solve the Equation also beats Veil of Summer, which might seem odd. So you're thinking, well, Solve the Equation just gets Gifts and Given, which then gets countered by Veil of Summer. If you're playing poorly, sure. Solve the Equation could also go get Past in Flames, which allows you to flash back a bunch of rituals into Manamorphose and to solve the equation again. You know what that sounds very similar to? Infernal Tutor and Legacy with Past in Flames. We now have a blue Infernal Tutor that doesn't require Hellbent and no one wants to test it. Let that sink in for a second. You're a blue-red combo deck that was just given Infernal Tutor and you don't want to test it. Why? I'm viewing Solve the Equation as this format's Infernal Tutor, and we finally got it. And it makes a lot of sense to me to give it a fair shake. So one thing I am not super thrilled with about this list is I want a second Grape Shot. And the reason why is it makes those sort of lines that I just described where you're using Solve the Equation for Grape Shot easier to do if there's already one in the graveyard or one in hand. That said, in order to fit everything I wanted to, I could only fit one. So if you're fine cutting a card in here for another, have at it. But I do think the first copy of Empty the Warrens gains a ton of value when you're running Solve the Equation. Just because you'll be able to play mana into Solve the Equation into an Empty, or Solve the Equation Past in Flames, flash back a bunch of mana Empty, and our Empty actually just got so much better in this deck. You're not doing it for 8 or 10, you can do it for 20. Empty's very good in this list. So, pretty thrilled about that. You can also just tutor up Empty against control decks when they might have been discarding Wraths or something along those lines. Seems really good to me. So, part of what I did to create a Solve the Equation package is I shaved a Grape Shot and I kept the Empty in the main, but I added Repeal. This might come as a shock to many of you. I don't like Repeal. I haven't for some time, and you'll notice you don't see it in many of my lists. So why am I playing it today? Well, Solve the Equation changes that. One of the issues I've always had with Repeal is it's a pipe dream. People play their 10 cantrips or their 8 cantrips because so many of you decide not to play Sleight of Hand. And Repeal is this magical out to so many situations where your opponents happen to have main deck Leyline of Sanctity, and you think that you're going to find Repeal before the game's over. It's just not very practical. Well, Solve the Equation changes that because now you have a tutor for your answer main deck. That's really good to me. And now that you have a tutor, that card actually has value. So I am running Repeal today, and that's actually where that second Grape Shot went. I cut my 2 Burgies. Those became the Goblin Electromancer and a Solve the Equation. I lost my 4 sleight of hand. Those became the other 3 Solve the Equations in an 18th land. So those are the changes from my typical list. In the board, I shaved a Weather the Storm for Ignite Memories, and I lost Dismember, and we added in a couple bolts. That would update you from my last list. I really like the idea of Solve the Equation grabbing Ignite Memories versus Tron because it dodges the graveyard entirely. That just seems pretty interesting to me. Yeah. So if you have any questions on this list, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below. But also, if you appreciate this content, please make sure to subscribe. Please. But also like and comment. I would appreciate that as well. Yeah. And if you want to support this content directly, you can always go to theepicstorm.com/donation decks. Submit your own combo deck to be featured here on this channel. You can even join me in the video if you sign up for the Epic tier. You can also go to theepicstorm.com/shop. Okay. Well, I'm ready to start playing some Magic. I want to solve the equation. And that equation is Solve the Equation playable? I don't know. That's the honest answer. I'm just looking to try it out. I think that this card could end up being secretly very, very good. And if this is a slightly weaker Infernal Tutor, I think that's good enough for a format like Modern. It just seems like this is what this deck wants. Also, it's possible Remand could end up leaving. I know so many of you love your Remand, so I am testing it today, but I'm not convinced that card's super good in the format right now, but that's not important right now. I just want to play some Magic the Gathering. So stick around. I hope you enjoy the matches. Well, welcome to round number 1, and we've opened up a Solve the Equation already. So that's kind of exciting. We've also opened up a Remand. This hand seems decent to me. I'm definitely going to keep this. It's interesting what Solve the Equation will end up being in this hand. Right now I'm thinking Gifts and Given. But we don't actually know yet. We have Remand as a nice stall to get to Solve the Equation as well. Obviously any 2-mana creature would accelerate our game plan. And our opponent's taking a mulligan. It's also worth noting that if you eventually do get to live the dream of casting 1 mana Solve the Equation, when you have both Brawl and Goblin Electromancer, that this card is just bananas. So that's kind of cool as well. You can tutor chain them as well. You can get Solve the Equation for Solve the Equation, and then on the second one, get Past in Flames, which allows you more options. It's just Infernal Tutor, realistically. Goblins. Okay, I wonder if this is like a first day of class deck. Unfortunately, we did not want a second copy of Past in Flames. That's kind of stinky. I like playing with my sideboard open. Sorry, I know it probably bothers some of you, but I like seeing what's in my board. There's a red-black Goblins deck that took second in the Pauper Challenge this weekend, Mogwarts. So you play Putrid Goblin along with First Day of Class, and then with Skirk Prospector in play, you essentially have the Malaria combo. So Snoop will resolve. Well, that's going to make our remand bad, so I'm going to try to remand pretty much anything I can this turn. Alright, well, they chose not to play into remand. And now we get to cast Solve the Equation. I think I'm just going to grab Gifts. okay. So if we do draw a creature, they have the expert. And I think we just died. Okay. They have their combo. So we definitely want Bolt. Remand doesn't seem very good against the deck with Cavern in it. Probably don't want the empty if I'm being honest. Okay, so we're still 3 over right now. We can probably shave a couple, solve the equation. Maybe cut like 1 gifts. Let's try this out. We are a little bit weak to Graveyard Hate, admittedly, because I'm not bringing in Aria. But Aria forces you to tap out, and I don't know if that's what we want to be doing. So, a little bit hesitant on that. But I suppose I could board out like an Electromancer. It's interesting. It's just a little bit slow. I think I'm going to ship it. It's just too slow, I think. Our opponent, I think, also thrashed us like that, and a mulligan to 5. The Cavern was just huge. It was also their black source, which was so that was like both a black source so they could actually cast the Harbinger, but it was also what made it uncounterable. So that was just like the perfect reveal for them. There's a red source, so that's not too bad. Yeah, I think I'm fine with these. I don't think I need another Manamorphose. I could shock myself and play Bolt there. I just can't imagine anything that I'm going to Bolt this turn. So instead, next turn, I can just fetch from out and have a Braydan Bolt up. So they have Fatal Push. Alright, so they have Push with Smashing on top. Wonder if I'm supposed to cycle Manamorphose. Sure. Alright, let's see if I get lucky enough to cycle into a Gifts here. I probably should have done this on my main phase, to be honest. Get punished. Alright, so we know three of their 4 cards now. And they drew another vial. Of course their last card was a Harbinger. After killing 2 Snoops, this was the one unknown. They got me. Alright, 0-1. We're back for round 2. Our opponent has revealed a Lures of the Dream Den. We're on the draw. We've opened up another Solve the Equation. Let's do it. This hand just really needs a creature. Alright, so maybe Red-Black Shadow. I imagine they actually take Solve the Equation here, but who knows. Solve the Equation also increases your threat density against discard decks. They chose the mana. That's interesting. That was actually the least valuable card in my opinion. Yep. Okay, well, I was going to say Misty meant that this was not Red-Black Shadow. I don't know if I'm supposed to play out Brawl, because like they're just going to kill it for free. But maybe that's fine. Like, they're going to kill it, and then their Goyf gets bigger, but maybe that means that the next one sticks. No, really? Okay, let's party. Didn't need that. Okay, so what does this do? I can play Brawl, or play the Goblin. And then this costs 1 mana. I can play Empty for 10. That's what I can do. Excuse me, by the way. Like, the Empty just gains so much value with Solve the Equation. Like, it goes from being a card that, like, you never want to gifts for, why is it a one of, just something that actually has reasonable value. If they attack, it's, like, very free for me to chump with Brawl. Another Goyf, okay. And I'll take 4 going to 9. So their Goyf just got bigger. Let's not forget that. So they're gonna block, take 8, go to 6. That works. So the reason why I left an extra Goblin back is if they have Abrupt Decay. They decay 1, and then I die to the other 2. So I would just flat out lose to Abrupt Decay, and that's not something I'm interested in doing. All right, so this resolves, we win. Boom! So the equation was pretty good that game. All right, so Bug Shadow maybe? These Veil of Summer seem like they're pretty strong. Maybe something like that. Traditionally in this matchup, I really like boarding out creatures, just because they do tend to have a lot of removal. They didn't that game, but I don't know how much of a typical game that was. Then we could even like side in an Echoing Truth to like if they happen to have like a game with a bunch of Goyfs or Shadows again. But I don't know if that's actually a card I want. Like you could board out like one Gifts and Given for it. And I think we can probably board out one and solve the equation. Only because without having creatures in your deck, this card does cost a little bit more. It's a little bit more awkward. So let's try this out. One of my favorite strategies against these sort of matchups is just blanking the removal and creating virtual card advantage by not turning on their Fatal Pushes or their Abrupt Decays, etc. So we've opened up one of our two Arias. This is actually kind of dangerous because we don't want it being discarded, but you can't ship it. Like, this hand's fine. Little do they know we already had one. I don't think I can keep that. The ritual's like sort of nice because I could jam turn 2 Aria. I just don't think you're supposed to keep it. We want spells and lands. Well, I guess it is a spell, but we need lands. Interesting. That they got Island and not a Shock. They might not be a Shadow deck. Also, that mana does not cast Abrupt Decay, which I think is kind of interesting. And there's the Thoughtseize for our Aria. Sort of a bummer. Sure. You got me. That's fine. I like that, though. Am I allowed to search this time? I guess I am. Maybe I was supposed to get a breeding pool there in case I drew a Veil Simmer later. That was probably a misplay. What do you know? Shadow of Doubt does counter my solve the equations and my gifts. What a weird list. Alright, I'm going to concede this one. Wow. Alright. That's just wild. Do I want to change up my game plan? This doesn't seem like a great Remand matchup. Bolt's probably not that good. We saw snaps, but I don't know if that's really what this matchup is about. Let's try this. Like, I just don't know what our opponent's doing, so it's tough to have a solid game plan immediately. Sure. So they're likely taking our area here. Just not playing into their Shadow of Doubt. No need to cast the Brawl here, just playing into their creature removal. So I'm going to hold the Brawl, see if they ever tap out, and then maybe take advantage. And now they're moving to clean up. We're bullying them right now with mana. They're definitely not a Shadow deck, I don't think. Interesting. They held up 2 mana that entire time and waited to play a Thoughtseize. Just making land drops. I have no clue what their deck is. Okay, I'm going to fetch here on their end step, because if they want to Shadow of Doubt me, I have a window to win. So now if they try to kill this, I can respond with these, maybe find a gifts. They don't have Veil of Summer up right now, which is kind of nice. Keep my colors open. That was a good draw. Interesting. Okay, well, let's lead on. Let's wait to flashback the ritual. Let's see what our draws are first. Okay, not great. Sort of a bummer. Unfortunately, we just need to pass here. Gonna let that die. I know that I have Veil of Summer. I didn't miss that. I just don't think that Electromancer actually matters. So I'm not gonna fight over it. Like, I'm way more concerned with making sure the Passing Flames flashback resolves, for example. Well, at least I get a shuffle here. I think we should probably cycle the Metamorphose. Be nice if we had like a Gifts and Given or something. Gets us deeper into our deck, especially with the Passing Flames in the graveyard. That's a bummer. We might be able to win on our turn, assuming they don't have... Ooh, that was good. Let's go. Storm is 3. Should probably cycle Metamorphose. So solve the equation is from 8. Grape Shot is 9. Serum Visions would be 10. Well, obviously I wouldn't sequence in that order. That doesn't make any sense, but... Wooch, wooch! 1-1. Solve the equation looked pretty good here, I have to say. Round 3, we're on the play. Let's solve more equations. This hand seems fine. Gonna lead on Delta, just so that way we're not, like, possibly shuffling our scry. If we draw a third Spire Bluff Canal, oh well. So this could be a Heliod combo, which is not a very good matchup for us. The whole infinite life thing is pretty difficult for us to beat. Don't need a ritual. Or that. All right. Opponent's taking very long pauses on our faces. All right, well, they're not Heliod combo. Some sort of Titan deck. I don't know if these decks have removal or not. It could be a Scape Shift style deck based on the flagstones. And if it's more Scape Shift, they're more likely to have removal. Ah, it's kind of a bummer. I realized that on my turn I could have just gone Caution to the Wind through all of these into a into the Electromancer and just pray to hit gifts. I don't know if that was necessarily correct. And I would have been rewarded. That said, we can gifts on their end step and very likely win if we get to untap. It's a cute combo. They have 6 mana. They could play Titan now. What does Brangolite get here? Oh, it gets Scape Shift. Okay, so I have triple Morphos. We have 2 Remands in our deck. Is there any reason to ritual first? Probably not. It's all up to you, Morphos. Sad. Might as well let our opponent kill us. Yep. Okay. So I guess if I was a little more bold and went for it, I would have been rewarded. Maybe I'm supposed to do it with Solve the Equation in the deck. That's entirely possible. I don't know if they're a Force and Negation deck. They might be. So maybe I'm supposed to bring in Veil of Summer. Dismember seems okay. I definitely think that they're likely a Veil deck. So I don't know if I really want to be boarding out Solve the Equation. I don't think Empty's good. I'm pretty sure we're free to side that out. Shaven or Electromancer. Alright, let's board out one Solve the Equation, I guess. We have to make room. Alright, this is pretty solid. This is a turn 3, I believe, as long as we get to do our thing. Alright, so I'm going to Jam Brawl on 2, and then hopefully we can do something on turn 3. Alright, so now if it gets pathed or bolted, not as big of a deal. I know that in theory I could fetch for basics and be at 18 against the Scapeshift deck. I just don't think our life total is going to be that close. That's an interesting draw. Don't need that. So hypothetically, let's say I go Morphos for a blue and a red. And then we draw Ritual. So I'll have 5 red and a blue down to 2. So 6, 4. I could cast Past in Flames. But all that assumes that our opponent has nothing. I'm just going to pass. Like next turn we can do something similar, but also have Veil of Summer backup. And if they tap out here for Titan, that's even better. Or not Titan, Dryad, I'm sorry. Leave my Brawl alone. Well, now if they have a Force of Negation, we're just screwed, but not a big deal. It doesn't feel like they have Force of Negation. So we can get Past in Flames here. If I get Gifts, we only have 5 mana, so that ends up being 1 short. It's worth noting that there is an interesting line here. Because we have double solve the equation, I can get a Ritual and then cast the other one. Maybe that's actually better. Because it's mana neutral, but I get another Ritual in the graveyard. You just don't need gifts. We can cast this one. At this point, why even bother casting the Gifts and Given? I've already gone this far without it. And part of what I'm doing right now, I'm not trying to showboat. I'm trying to show you that it's possible to win without Gifts and Given, because this would have been a very easy win through a Veil of Summer. Solve the equation here was just Infernal Tutor in blue, and that was very, very powerful. I think I'm going to leave it. It worked out there. Solid hand, in my opinion. Maybe, it will really depend on the opt, but this could be a hand where we hold Brawl until turn 3 and hope that they tap out. Ooh. Alright, well, I'm willing to tap out for Electromancer on 2. Okay, I see you. Bolt. Yep. They're not tapping out. So what does that mean? So they get to ramp here with the flagstones. And with Elvish Reclaimer up, they likely have Bazooka Bog. So they're holding open Bazooka Bog, so we have to find a removal spell to kill this Reclaimer. I have a Dismember in the deck and an Echoing Truth. Those are really our only two options. Technically I have a Grape Shot. Move my sideboard so it's not covering the tough. Okay. We might be pressured into trying to win, even through the Reclaimer now. Ooh, they're both at me. I could just be dead here. Yep, that'll do it. So maybe shocking that aggressively wasn't a good move. This would have made it very interesting. I just don't know how much it would have mattered if we had to combo through the Bazooka Bog. But we're 1-2 now. I don't really feel like this loss is at the fault of Solve the Equation, but it is what it is. I think that maybe I could have played around that a little bit better. Who knows? 1-2. All right, round number 4 on the draw. And we've opened up a solid hand that just needs a few more lands. I'm definitely going to keep this. Is it the mirror? I believe we have a turn 2 empty. Am I wrong? So yeah, we don't have a turn 2 empty. I would need another ritual. And it's definitely the mirror. Whoops. I guess I can cast Opt, it's fine. Don't want that. Decent. So if they have remand, it doesn't matter on this. But what I can do is this could actually get remand. So I could cast Grape Shot for 9, remand it. And that could actually beat one of their remands. So they would take 8, and then they would take 10. So that would be exact. If they have a remand, I would need to cast one more spell. So if I get my own, if I get another solve the equation right now, I can do all of that again. But if they remand my remand, it's not legal, or not lethal. Interesting. I thought this was the mirror. Well, now they're just going to get bodied by this empty, I hope. What up? Boom. No idea what our opponent's playing. But I'm pretty sure I want these Yellow Summers. Don't know if I need this. I feel like it might be a control deck. Also, solve the equation seemed great there, by the way. Being able to get remand to do the Grape Shot remand trick was just really cool. And I think I'm actually going to board out a land. We're on the draw, why not? Promptly draw Past in Flames. Classic. I guess I should have done that on their turn. Because now they get to exile this. And it's like one more free exile effect for them. I was actually concerned with the op just not resolving when I needed to hit lands. But maybe that's just a little silly. Relic is just an obnoxious card. I just hate always having to click. Like, it's just annoying. Sad. They are down to 3 cards. I don't even know what I actually want with this. Solve the equation. I guess we could get empty. No, I regret boarding on a land. Lies. I never meant it. They put a card on top. I'm not even sure if my goal actually is to empty, but if they end up like cantripping differently or something along those lines, it does get us some equity by getting it. I can't help but wonder if I'm supposed to get the other breeding pool here. I'm going to get Island just so I'm not shocking. Sure. That's interesting. Because now I can splice this. It's just such an all-in play. Well, they have to have something this turn. Because they only have 2 blockers and they're at 18. Okay. So that bought them 1 turn. Even if they have the answer here, I can guess her grape shot. All right, so that advances us up to 2 and 2. Once again, solve the equation was pretty good here. Final match, let's get it. We're on the play. That is not a hand that gets it. All right, turn 2 empty. It's going to have to be good enough. Okay. Well, that thing doesn't block very well. Burn is usually a bad matchup for us. Grape Shot's kind of awesome as a draw. So if we hit Brawl here, it's actually amazing. No brawl. So if you're super risky, what you could do is cast Opt looking for a ritual, but then if you miss, you can't cast Empty, so it's not worth it. And next turn we have Opt into Grape Shot if they play another one of these Luminancers. We can also just Grape Shot one of the Luminancers on our next turn, even if we don't draw land for Opt. Okay. What do I want to do? No blocks. I wonder if we're dead. This just doesn't matter. I'm going to bottom it. I could do 2 at the Luminancer, or all 3 at the Luminancer. I think I'm going to do 2 at them, 1 at this, because it forces them to cast a spell this turn. If for some reason they have like just like spell, pump spell, double strike effect, we're in a lot of trouble. But this gives me the possibility of having lethal on the swing back, which is why I'm doing it this way. Flusterstorm. Wasn't expecting that. Just got some good information for post-board games. I know to bring in Veil now. Alright, well, they're going for lethal. So if they have a Boros Charm, makes it at 8. Well, that's the same thing as a Boros Charm. Yeah, they have lethal. And they had the can't block. So I would have needed to leave a bunch of things back. Wow. Impressive. So nothing I did actually mattered. That's a turn 3 with Flusterstorm backup and through creature removal. Okay. Probably want that. I don't think Remand is very good against them. I think that's a card that can come out. We need to be fast, so I don't really want to board out creatures. It's possible that Bolt just isn't even good enough because of mutagenic growth. They have Grape Shot. Grape Shot wouldn't keep it alive, though. I'm just not going to board and Bolt. Like, what's the point when they have mutagenic growth? It's not the best hand, but it's serviceable. I mean, that was a pretty sweet win. It's tough to deny that. Waiting on the opponent. They've chosen to keep 7. Alright, we need a land off the top. There it is. Hey, I'll take it. If they kill me, they kill me. Alright, so this is a window for me right now. They could have Force Negation in their deck, but I can't afford to just sit here and not do anything. Okay. Is there some sort of pile I can make that would beat Surgical? Probably not. I think I'm supposed to just do like a standard pile. If you have surgical, you have surgical. Technically, let's say they put Past in Flames to the graveyard, which is what they did. So I can cast Past in Flames right now, but they can just surgical Manamorphose, and then I can't do anything. So there's no point in even like holding priority to flashback. I think I'm supposed to hold priority now, though. And then cast the Opt. Let's add some blue. So the only way that I think that I can realistically lose at this point is if I somehow get Grape Shot Surgical. So I'm looking for a solve the equation. And that did not happen. So I can get solve the equation. Maybe that was the actual thing I was supposed to do. It's just like gifts again, get solve the equation and never risk putting Grape Shot in the graveyard. I think if they had a surgical, they would have hit it before, but there's no reason to play into a possible surgical extraction. I do like the fact that you're almost surgical proof if you have solved the equation in your deck. That's kind of cool. And I mean only surgical proof on Grape Shot itself, not on Past in Flames or anything else. So don't use that out of context. All right, so we got lucky and stole game number 2. I'm just going to leave the deck as is. Friendly reminder, if you want to support this content, you can do so by going to theepicswarm.com/donation decks. Submit your combo deck. Have your combo deck featured here on the Epic Swarm YouTube channel while supporting this great content. It is a win-win. You can also go to theepicswarm.com/shop, pick up a mini token pack, or to kick off your summer, a Storm 20 baseball tee and an Epic Storm pint glass. So make sure you go there to support the Storm content, show your appreciation. That said, we're in the final game of the league. I'm going to try this out. Hopefully it goes well. Our opponent's taking a mulligan. Alright, no fast creature, but I think that does mean that they likely have a Flusterstorm. The deck plays 4, so I like the land. No need to go for it. Like I said, they have 4 Flusters in their deck. There's no reason to just jam. What we can do on this turn is we can unstep gifts, and if they fluster, we can actually pay for it. And it resolved. I imagine they just give us double ritual. Interesting. Like, I have the strong suspicion that they have double fluster. And I'm wondering if I can somehow beat that. So if they fluster right here, that would be storm 5. I can actually pay for the entire fluster storm. And our opponent is conceded. Wow. Okay, so we finished this league 3-2, which isn't the worst. Let's look at the deck list. Do we think that Solve the Equation had any meaningful impact on these games? I would argue yes. Was it terrific? No. Was it bad? I don't think so either. I think that this card is in fact playable. That is my opinion. Is it a stock option? No. I think it's definitely a flex spot. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm truly interested. And don't just say this card's bad without like actually watching the video. I guess if you got this far, you've actually watched the video. But like, try it out. Let me know what you actually think. Like, test it, give it a fair shot. I know that this list might not be perfect. I kind of just threw it together last minute before recording, but Solve the Equation definitely seemed at least fine. Getting empty main deck was really good. That certainly gave it some weight. I think maybe the correct number isn't 4, if I'm being honest. I played 4 tonight because I wanted to maximize how often I saw it to get a better feeling of how it was. If I was to maybe guess, 3 could be the right number, maybe 2. But it definitely seemed pretty good. I know that we bordered out the 4th quite a bit, so it's possible that 3 is the right number. But yeah, I was kind of impressed, at least with how it works with empty. There's a lot of cool situations in this video. Let me know what you liked. Let me know what you disliked. Any play mistakes, etc. Always, if you want to show your support, please subscribe, comment, and like down below. I hope you enjoyed this video at least. Have a great day. Hey, Bryant Cook here. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe, but also follow the social media channels down below. If you want to support this content directly, I would recommend going to theepicstorm.com/shop. And if you need a little bit of assistance with the Epic Storm to get to that next level, I would recommend going to theepicstorm.com/tutoring. Don't worry, there's more great content coming right up.